No, you should be able to hear me. Can you hear me?
Okay, I had my mic off all the time, didn't I?
I think so.
Did we miss the disclaimer? Did I miss the disclaimer?
Yeah, I didn't hear you at all. Were you
Okay,
trying
yeah, I
to
said it. Oh gosh. Okay, let me go through the disclaimer one more time before we get started here. Let me
put it
switch
on your
back.
splash page though? Your chart is up.
Okay, let me start this thing over again. I missed the verbals on the disclaimer here. Hang on a second. I apologize, everybody. Okay, now everybody hears me. Everybody can see the screen.
Yeah.
And the trade in foreign exchange on margin carries a high level of risk and may not be suitable for all investors. The high degree of leverage can work against you as well as for you. Before deciding to invest in the foreign exchange, you should carefully consider your investment objective, level of experience, and risk appetite. The possibility exists that you could sustain a loss of some or all of your initial investment, and therefore you should not invest money that you cannot afford to lose. You should be aware of the risks associated with the foreign exchange trading and seek advice from an independent financial advisor. If you have any doubts, this is the Hawkeye trading session. This is a live trading room. It is for educational purposes only. No financial advice or recommendation will be provided. Any trade taken during this live session is not a recommendation or a suggestion that you should also do the same. Past performance is not indicative of future results. Do not trade money you cannot afford to lose. And before trading live, always operate with a written trade plan that identifies the rules for entries, exits, targets, and risk management. There, we have that. Now let's go back to the charts.
Oh, Al, would you please let Christine in the room?
I will. Let me see who's all here.
I'm here. I
Christine.
got it.
You got it, Christine?
Yeah, I got her.
I got it. Promote to. There we go. There she is. Okay, there she is. And everybody else is okay. Here we go. Boy, it's been a rough morning this morning. Let's get started here.
I think everybody.
I'm just sitting in your room, Al.
All right. Okay. Are we all good? Everybody's here. Everybody's ready to go. We're looking at the New Zealand USD, and we had an alert at 7:30. By the time I saw the alert, it was already broken out of the wedge. It was an ascending wedge, and looking at, we pretty much had a flat, even though it was ascending, which means it was basically pointing in the up direction. It was pretty much of a flat bottom, and so this was the wedge. It broke out. Now it's coming back to retest the bottom of the wedge. So we have a breakout right now. Now, if you didn't get in, it may give us an opportunity to get in at a different spot. And here's what we've been starting to do a little bit. As we have a strong move down, and this is a strong move down on the 15-minute. Let's go over to our 1-minute chart. And we're trying to find out when it starts to actually, when it's actually making the wedge, it's actually going sideways. It's actually basing, it's consolidating. Once it breaks out, then it's starting to, the theory is that it's going to start a new trend. In this case, we're looking at a trend to the downside. So we have to figure out how are we going to get into this with a minimum amount of risk and try to get the pips that we're trying to do. We have a couple choices. We can just wait for it to come back to the wedge where it's coming right now. And we're on a 5-minute chart here. But what I'm looking at if this is a breakout and this is a nice strong, you can see this is a nice strong down move. We're looking for a pullback only to come up here and retest this and then fall back again. So first I'm going to see, is there enough room for a reasonable target to catch this move down? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at my Fibonacci lines and see what lines are this thing breaking out of. And you can see there's a green fib line right up here. This should be on the 5-minute chart. Yep, I'll make sure that's on 5 minutes. So we're looking at it. It broke out of the green. It's coming into the, so basically it's trading in between. We're looking at this breakout and possibly this as a target. So I'm going to use that retracement tool, which we've used before. I'm going to come up here with the top, bring down and come back up. I'm going to try and get this all the way up to the top here where the D is. Bring this down to where this thing pivoted down. And I'm bringing this to a retracement to see how far back. If it comes back up into this area, I'm going to try and enter a sell right when it comes into this little box here, trying to catch this move down. If it keeps on going up, I'm not going to get filled. If I get filled, I should at least get it to where it's going to retest the bottom here and then maybe go down lower. So that's how we're going to try and play this one today. So as this thing goes up, I'm going to spread this thing out so we can see this a little bit better. It's coming up. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to set a sell stop right about in this area. And you see it's already active. It's pulling back up. My sell stop's in. My target is going to be down here, somewhere in this zone right in here. So I've got it right down. This is probably this is 7 pips there, I believe, is what my target is on this. If I move this thing up to the blue line, which is pretty reasonable to expect, that gives us a 9 pip target. And if we're looking for a 7 pips, we're just going to put it right about in here. This is going to be pretty much a 61% extension off of this move down. So if I can get in as this thing goes up higher and higher, but because I don't want to be, if this holds, then we want to get in on this move down here. So we'll see if it's going to, especially if it doesn't test this, if it doesn't break through that, this is probably going to be a pretty strong down move. So I'm just waiting for it to pull back, see how far it pulls back. If it pulls back and gets me in, my stops can be right up in here, right on the other side of these double lines. So that's how we're going to play this one day. And so my entry is going to be here on a, if this is just a strong move down, it pulls back, my entry is going to be here. My first target, I'm trying to make sure it should go at least to this area right here. If this breaks, it probably is going to go down to the next fib line, which is down this part. And that's where my target's going to be, just right about in this area. Should be, that should give me on my 9 pips or 7 pips. Actually, I need to modify this and make this into 7. See if this will get 9 here. Let's see what that is. That should bring the target up there. There you go. And that's how we're going to now. So basically, the good news is we may not get, well, the bad news is we may not get filled, but the good news is we won't be filled in the wrong direction. So that's how we're going to work this one. We already had the break. It's coming back to retest the wedge. And it broke with plenty of room to the downside. I believe this was right here. That was about a 7 pip, that was a 10 pip move to the downside. Our strength meter says basically on the 1 minute chart, let's check out the RCS on all. We have 6 and 2 pairing of the US dollar to the downside, 6 and 2, and a 5 and 4. So basically there is a lot of strength to the downside. But we want to just try and capture that 7 pips on the pullback, but we don't want to be whipsawed by just having this being a head fake.
No,
so
it's no, I agree completely, Al. I think it's a lot wiser to wait for that pullback and potentially look for a really nice entry.
So that's what we're going to do. So right now we have it all set up for a entry to go short right on this line. And we're going to go.
I had some problems drawing this one, because it's supposed to be ascending, right?
Well, it's ascending in a very small manner of, there wasn't much of a slope to it.
Yeah.
This is ascending here from this A to where we kind of got the lower tucked in. It is a slight little bit of a, not by much, but it is a little bit ascending. That's about as best I could come up with as ascending.
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing as well. I don't really.
But what I like about this is a nice, strong. The angle of this move is real steep, real strong.
Yes.
And we have a nice, relatively strong pullback, and I think you're going to get another nice little pop down to the downside as everything starts to. Our RSIs have come back up. They're starting to hook, and if we look on, this is on the. Let's get it on the 1 minute chart. And you'll see where.
Each man has the question.
I'm just answering them, Christine.
Oh, okay. All right, honey.
So that's what we're going to do with this one. We're going to see how this one works out for us. Like I say, if it does retrace back in, if this is just a reversal, we shouldn't get filled. If we do get filled on reversal, we're not going to get stopped out by a lot, because our stop is going to be up here at the other side of the if it goes back into the wedge, we'll be out of this trade. And so the risk would actually only be, let's see what the risk level is. Actually, it should be about 10 pips, 7 pips maybe. 7. So we still have our 7 pip risk to the upside, and we have our 7 to 14 pips to the downside that we're looking for a target. And we'll see what happens. I'll take our fib tools off.
Gonna make our that's gonna make our entry really accurate, isn't it, Al? It's gonna be a very tight entry.
It's gonna be a pretty tight entry. It's gonna be a 7 pip entry, but it's gonna be a sell stop. So basically, we're gonna have it sell right into our trade. And what's gonna be nice about that is that we will get filled at this point rather than having our 2 pip that we end up with the spread. When this thing comes through, this is where the fill is going to be rather than down here. So let's see how this thing plays out.
Al, I'm
Yes.
just going to clarify a question here from Beach Panda. Can we unmute his mic for a moment when you,
Sure.
when you need a break?
There you go. Go ahead. You're free to speak there, Beach Panda.
He's asking, Beach Panda, you're asking about how is the whole fib chart repositioned once drawn. Now, are you talking about his fib lines? Because they don't reposition. But if you're talking about his retracement, then that's different.
That's a different ballgame. That's a different ballgame. And what I'm doing with this is I'm just following this all the way up as we had the strong move down. I'm just following this retracement tool back up to where it retraces. And so this would be the 0. So this thing right now, this thing has retraced about 40% of this down move that I started with. So from this down move, this would be 0, this would be 100% of the move. This is a 40% retracement of that move. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to let it retrace, breathe in retracement, and then come down, get me in the trade for the next move, which oftentimes with this retracement tool, we can get a 1-to-1 of, if this is like an Elliott wave type of scenario, this would be your wave 1, this would be your wave 2, and then wave 3 is going to be as good, as big or bigger than wave 1. If this would be a true Elliott wave, wave 1, wave 2, we don't know that for sure. And oftentimes you don't know that for sure until after the move. But this is what we're shooting for, is to get in here and catch it down to the 1-to-1, which is going to be this area right in here. And I'll be looking at this as being my target from the 78% of the move to 100% of the move, which is right here. This is going to be my target, my ultimate target. But we also have some other targets along the way that right now we just want to get in and see it break. If it can't break this pivot here, then all bets are off, but then we should be able to, it should not come back up and retest this line. If this thing is a true wave, this is a true pullback, once it breaks here, it should never come back and retest this. You see, like right now, it's still respecting this area. It actually has a little bit of a wedge drawn right here. You can actually see where we have this high up here. You can see if I draw a line across from this little drop, this is a little basing area, came back, it retested the base, and now we're going to wait and see. So now we have our little wedge, right, a secondary wedge right here after our wedge alert. Nice strong move down, forming a wedge, and if it breaks this trend here, we're going to be in this trade. So rather than trying to catch this wedge up here, we're trying to catch this one to the downside. And we'll see how it goes. We still have some good strength on the dollar to the New Zealand. The dollar is strong. Dollar is the second currency of the pair. And so we're looking for the strength of the dollar to the downside, which should get us into this trade and hopefully give us 7 pips.
Okay, so to still clarify, Beach Panda is saying the retracement lines, all of them seem to be able to reposition as the target ranges are fine-tuned. I don't think they reposition. I think you just see more of them appear because they're all up and down the chart. You just don't happen to see all of them, Beach Panda.
Right, yeah. You're only going to, as far as these fib lines, if that's what you're talking about, you're not going to see all of them. They only have about 2 series of these ranges from the blue to the blue. There's only about, you probably have another series down here, but then they usually runs, you have the one that you're in now and one below and one above, But after that, you just have to wait till it gets to there before they start propagating on down. So you're only going to see the top blue, the middle blue, and the third blue. So you only have 2 of those series: blue, red, green, blue, red, green, and then it starts with the blue.
So basically, it's nothing that Al does specifically. It just populates that way.
Yeah,
on
that's
its
just
own.
the way the program's set up to populate.
And if by chance he means the retracement tool, that changes according to
Yeah.
what your pullback is.
Yeah, these changes, I move this up and down to, as I trace this move up. Okay, now we should be getting into the trade here.
He said this is the twilight zone. He needs to get his microphone fixed. Sorry if I'm not understanding your question properly, but
no, I should have been filled in this trade here. Why did not fill? Anyway, well, this is a Wanda demo thing that I'm dealing with here. But anyway, here's where the entry was, right here. Right on this, here's the entry to sell. Be filled right in this one.
Yeah, you had 65.56. 65.56, sorry.
Yeah, 65, 56, 57. Right now it's 57 is where, I'm not sure exactly what the exact number is. And then now the target is going to be somewhere down here. What I'm trying to do was figure out why that did not take the trade.
Yeah.
Let me try something. Well,
definitely missed that one.
Well, I didn't. I think what it is that the account was, the value of the account was.
Wanda.
Yeah, it wasn't a Wanda thing. It's kind of a Wanda account size thing is what that was. But anyway, here's where the entry was. Here's really my first target I want to see hit, and there's a good chance it's going to hit that. And then we'd be looking at 60.57, 250, and that's only 2 pips down to here. But at least we're in the trade 2 pips earlier than waiting to get in way down here after this break. So here was the break of the wedge, came in, got us into the trade, and now we're earning the trade. And we'll see how it goes. And we'll put our moving averages up and see where our moving averages are, and see if we have any. It came right up. He's looking at this. What's interesting is you have nice strong move down, came back, tagged the 62, everything flipped over, and right now it's tracking. You can just pretty much just track the 62 moving average or the 13 moving average, and just see how well that tracks. Let's go to our 5-minute chart. I'll expand that up, and you can see the same scenario. Here's our 62 way up here, broke the wedge. This one came up, tested the 62, tested the top of the wedge, came back down, gave us our alert, broke the wedge, came back up, retested the wedge up here, and now we're in this trade after the break of the secondary wedge that came up, tested it, and got us into this trade right over here at the 23% retracement of this move. And we'll see now we're good. So everything's still moving in the right direction. If we look over to our 15-minute chart, everything's probably going to be in the right direction here as well. Let's get this turned on. And we have the orange 62, 13.5, 62, 13.5, 62, 13.5. Everything, all of our moving averages are in the correct direction. All of our RSIs are moving direction. The RCS is in the right direction for the short, and we're in the short. And now we're just going to ride this thing out and see what it gives us. Going for our 7 pips for a 7-pip target is going to be, we got in at 57, so at 66.50, we should be taking our first profit, which is pretty much right down at, let's see, we got in at 57, so 67, 57, 47, which is right here by our fib line. It's going to be right in this area. We'll see how it goes. Let me take this one off just so you can clear it off this 15-minute chart so we can see the price action of that. Nice red, strong blue candle going up, strong red candle coming down, and our target's down below here. It's dropped down. It's testing the bottom of this big move. It's testing it. If we get a break, we're good. If we don't get a break, we'll just take a a small loss on it and move on to the next trade. Any other questions while we wait? Now we sit on our hands and just wait. A lot of times, like this area here, we have the 78 retrace extension. The one, a lot of times what I'll do is I'll just move this up into the middle and use this for my, if it comes back into that zone, I'm out of the trade. Because it will probably get a bounce somewhere down here. The first bounce will probably be down here, and I'll come up and maybe retest this pivot line. It still hasn't broken through here, which is still a little bit of a problem, but nothing that we're going to worry about right now. I would expect a bounce off of this. But like right now, we got into this trade 2 pips earlier than we were waiting if we were waiting for the breakout of this area right here. And a lot of times that extra 2 pips, that better 2 pip entry oftentimes is enough to get you profitable in the trade. And we wait. Any questions? Any other questions? While we're waiting, I just want to make sure everybody in the room, if you did not get the indicators, the multiple moving averages, the Fibonacci retracement, or the multiple RSIs or the RCS tool, if you do not have all 4 of those, raise your hand and we'll see to it that you get them. Looks like everybody's good. Okay. We're giving it to the people that come into this room, or we're giving those indicators to them for free until for a period of time. We don't know how long it's going to be, but if you're part of this room and you come and join us, and we'll see to that you get these indicators. And we are getting a bounce off of here. Still below our moving averages, haven't moved around yet. We still might get another retest of the 62. But right now we're only looking at 3 pips away to where we'd be looking at getting ourselves stopped out. If it comes up to this, if it goes back into this orange wedge again, we'll probably be taking the straight off. Oops, didn't mean to do that. Right now, everything's still looking good. Right now, we're right where we entered the trade. Let me see if I can get another. See if I get a demo account that's got a little bit more money, and maybe they'll let me take the trade this way. Let's try this one. Let me see if I can get into this. Show the. Yeah. See if I can get a buy stop in here if it comes back in again. Or sell stop at 57. $55, $56 is where it was. Okay, so if I can get a sell stop in here, I'll take the trade, just get it showing. Let's try this one right there.
Al?
Yes.
Beach Panda would like to know, will the currency pair indicators ever be released to us?
The currency pair indicators. I don't, they have been released. You talking about the RCS tool?
I don't know. We'll see what
That's the only thing we have that to be released.
Yeah.
The RCS, the multiple RSI, the multiple moving averages, and the FPRP have all been released to everybody who wants it. I think Beach Panda, you got those.
Yeah, he doesn't have a mic. It's not working. That's why everything's
Yeah.
typed. Yeah.
Yeah, I've got you listed that you have all 4, I believe. Let me double check my list. I'm pretty sure you have all 4. At least you indicated, you said you did when we gave this out last week. Oh, you did, Beach Panda. Yeah, I do. Yeah, you must not have been here. I will, we do have it. I will email those to you. In fact, let me do that right now. As for Matt, why don't you go and watch this trade while I do that? Get some of these emails, get this out to some people.
Yeah, Matt's not here.
Mess.
He had to step away for
Matt's-
a moment.
Oh, we did. Oh, okay. Email list. Okay, let me. While we're watching this trade, we'll just keep on plugging along with this. Let me see if I can do this.
I'm just trying.
Okay, I think I'm getting this thing here. Okay, Beach Panda, I'm going to send you 2 links.
You have his email from the.
I've got his email here. I'm just gonna email it to him.
Okay.
Okay, Beach Panda, I emailed you. Raise your hand when you get your email. You see right now this thing pulled back a little bit, but it got us into the trade, pulled back right about to where we got in, and now it's retesting our entry, and it's still going to take that trade. What the heck is going on here? I just don't know.
Jannar would like to know, what is the RCS MA length in settings?
The RCS length should be 14, should be set at a 14 level. Go to hit that little settings button. This pops up. This is a default. It's set up at 200 when you get it, but change it to 14. And that's 14 on all the time frames. And we're going to put a little vertical line here on 9 o'clock because we've been getting some rather significant moves just before 9 o'clock. So I'm just going to make a note of where the 9 o'clock hour is. Right about there. So I would expect this move is going to be materialized by 9 o'clock, it's based on previous history. Yeah, it looks like the S&P is going to open up to the downside today. Just so anybody cares.
I've already traded an S&P today.
Hey, young lady.
I did well.
Mickey showing up. What time did? Ay. I'm teasing you, sweetheart.
Yeah, I know.
Looks like it's setting up for another short. If anybody cares.
I do. I think I'm the only one in the audience that cares. It sounds of it.
Hello.
Peach Panda's still waiting for his email to come through.
Really?
He said his is slow.
Okay. It was sent to a outlook.com email. If that's not the right one, let me know.
No, he's got a Gmail.
Okay, then.
Got a Gmail.
I got the wrong email then.
Let me put it in the chat to the panelists.
Okay.
Okay.
That's why you didn't get it then.
Okay. It's in there.
Okay, let me well, this thing is just slowly gagging around here. It's just not a lot of volume, not a lot of volatility here. And all it did right now, it just tested the bottom of this nice big move down.
Leslie says, does anyone see the cat pattern on the 1 minute RSI?
The cat pattern. I know what she's talking about on the 1 minute RSI.
Yeah.
I actually know what she's talking about. Probably
Actually,
this thing right here.
Probably this
right here. Probably this thing right here. These two little ears of the cat on the 15 minute.
Yeah.
On the 1 minute, you see ears in the head.
No, I'm seeing on the 15. Let's see what on the 1 minute here.
We're looking at the RSI, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Now Leslie's going to have me looking at cat heads all day.
Yeah.
Thanks, Medley.
I haven't heard that. I haven't heard those terms in a long time. Right now we're still okay. It's just ranging sideways, just going sideways inside here. Basically, in a bigger picture, it's just basing. We had a nice drop and spacing, and still waiting for the next drop to happen. Let me just take this fib tool off here. We already know where our entry was. This is our entry zone. And the first target zone, the first target would be actually here. That's only 2 pips, so it's really not enough to make it a target, but it would be an area that we'd be looking at too. In some cases, we would actually use that for a target.
Oh, Beach is saying that the email still hasn't come through.
Oh, that's because I never sent it again. Sorry, I got watching the charts here, trying to do too many things at one time. I'm sorry. Where'd you put the email? Was it in the?
It's in the chat. Look in the chat.
Chat.
You have to go up to 836.
Oh, I see it. I got it. I see it.
Okay.
Now to find find it again here. Okay, like Beach Panda, I'm going to send you two separate links. The first one's going to be for the Fibonacci tool, and the next one's going to be for the RCS tool. And I'll have that here in just a second. And once you get it, I'll show you how to load it. Okay, it's on its way. Let me know when you get it. You know, what's interesting with this, we had the alert back here at 7:30, and the range of this thing since 7:30 has been a grand total of 8 pips in the last hour and a half. Hard to get 7 pips when it only ranges 8 pips in an hour and a half. But I'm still optimistic that come around the 9 o'clock hour, we're going to get a move on this thing. Any other questions while we're waiting here, sitting on our hands? We did have a U.S. yen trade earlier. Let's just take a look at that in the meantime. I just got ready to come up here and take another test of the zone. We do have a blue fib line right up here at the top.
Okay, Beach Panda's got the email finally.
You got the email? Okay. And when you just click on the link, Beach Panda, and the link's going to pull up a screen and scroll down to near the bottom of the screen, you'll see where it says add to favorites. And let me know if you have that. Either let Ava know or Christine know. And then once you click on add to favorites, it should be in your favorites box on your indicator list, which would be this little FX tool here that we have, the little FX, and then your favorites, and it should be in this list once you click on add to favorites. And then all you have to do is just click on the indicator, and then it should pop up on your screen. And do that with both of them. All right here, it looks like it'd be getting stopped out right about here. It's coming back up and retesting the wedge again. I say we're looking at this move from up here. This is the box that it's been in since the alert. Take it from up here, down below. This is the range it's in. And this range is only $14 pips. And you see that's right here, right up to the blue fib line. If we get stopped out, we may have another opportunity to get back in if it's just a little whipsaw here.
Nice spread of the EMAs. That's
Yeah,
how the, yeah.
yeah, it is on the one. Let's see where it's at on the 5. Let's see where that 62 is on the. It's coming right up here, testing the 62 on this 5-minute chart. Let me go and mark that one so we know where that is on the other charts. Came right up and just tagged it.
Al, on the 5-minute chart, the orange above the purple, is that the wedge or is that?
That's the wedge. That's the wedge.
Okay. Okay.
Yes, yeah, that's the wedge. Let me
Thank
go
you.
and I'll mark the 62 on the 15 as well as I did just like I did on the 5. This will be the 62 on the 15. And you can see we got a little bit of it, so you can see that this is the zone between those two, and they're only see 79 to 67, so they're 12 pips apart. I still kind of expect this one to hold right here. I think it's just a little bit stronger pullback from where we got into the trade. And I'd be looking at possibly re-entry. If you got stopped out, I would be looking at possibly re-entering at around the 65, 60 area, which would be right around in just about where we got in the first time. Be pretty much right around the bottom of where this bottom of this big candle is.
Okay, so Beach Panda says he's got everything going on now.
Okay, good, good. I will mark you off as completed then.
Beach Panda makes me laugh. He says he's been officially marked in quotation marks by you.
Yes, you have.
Funny guy.
We're glad to have you. I apologize it's taken so long to get that indicator to everybody, but we persevered and we better late than never, I guess.
This is true. It was out of your control.
This is nice, strong little pull. The stronger this thing pulls back, even though we may have gotten stopped out here, it's stronger it pulls back, the more likely you are to get that stop back out. You'll probably be able to get back in, get it into a little better position. And I would not be surprised to see the 9 o'clock. See, it's coming up on 9 o'clock hour here pretty soon. And maybe this is that 9 o'clock move, but I would still be looking at this thing to test up here and then still go short possibly. Right now, the range that it's trading in is still in this box area. Well, actually, it's more like this area right here. Start of where the D was. This is the top of the wedge. It may come up here and retest this. If it does, then we may be looking if it possibly get a break from. If it comes up here and tests this and pulls back, we'd be looking to go long, possibly on this. Right now, here's our major trend line. Here's our A. Here's our first trend line, if you're looking at from a trend line perspective, off of this move, this is the anchor, here's your first hit, and somewhere over here is going to be your second hit, right around, and when it gets near the top. If it at the third hit, it's either going to do one of two things. It's going to bounce, pull back, or it's going to go right through and then pull back. If it goes back through, then we're looking for the retracement to come back in to go long. But on the third bounce, it's going to give us some indication whether it's going to maybe retest the bottom of the box or if it's going to break through. It may just stay inside this range, but we're going to be looking to try and grab some pips somewhere in that area. We'll just have to wait and see how much this thing retraces.
And we're just about at the 9 o'clock hour.
Just about the 9 o'clock hour. And you also see that the New Zealand dollar has gotten stronger. They basically flip positions here. So this could just be a nice strong move to up here, pull back, and maybe get us into a trade to go up long. I still see a lot of, still looking to respect this area. This would be a major area to get through. This, I would view this more of a trap, more so than a breakout. And we'll see. Let's see what happens. Let's check something else here.
What was interesting that on this pair, an hour earlier at 7:30, I'm sorry, at 6:30, they had a an NZD alert, and then again another one at 7:30. Opposite directions.
Well, there again, that 631. This is during this overnight, actually during when the London market was opening up. This was a nice little move down here. Actually, it was. It's just not really. I mean, this thing's going very, very slow.
Yeah. Before class out, did you look at the UJ?
I did look at the UJ, and actually, I was looking at that, and then I saw the other one. Let's see how that one, how the UJ is doing.
I'm not
here.
saying that you have to leave from that one.
Well, I think we may just as well just take a look at it.
Okay.
I always forgot I forgot about it. So, yeah, basically with the UJ, we had a nice little. It had a nice little channel. This was yesterday's high, or the day. Well, this is the overnight range right here. So this was the overnight low. This is where they opened up again for after yesterday's close. We had a low. It opened up low, retested that zone. So here's our trend line for this one, for the bottom trend line. Here is yesterday's high. Here was the overnight high, and now it broke. So this is where this thing's breaking, but we do have a supply zone up here from way back over to here to the left of the screen. This is a nice little move out. It broke out, and the question is it going to come back, retest this? Let me just see what kind of a pullback we're getting on that. Take my fib tool, go over here, come on up, see how much of a pullback. I'd like to see a pullback to retest the. It did pull back to retest the wedge, and I'd be looking at possibly and it's forming another little wedge right here. Here's a nice strong move up, basing, strong move up, basing. And this could give us another opportunity to get in at this point up to, and that would be a 80 to 73. You could get 7 pips if it comes on up to there. You could take this thing long right at this area and see if you can get some pips out of that one. Let's see if I can get this thing to work this way. Buy, stop. Stop loss, 2%. Maybe that's why it wasn't taking the trade. And this would be at 105.73. So we look 105.73 in, buy, and this target's going to be 7 pips up above it. If it comes up, if this was just a little head fake, it probably won't get us in. If it continues on up, And we have dollar strength on the 15-minute by 3. So this is still a viable trade to get in. And our target's going to be up in here, this area. I'd like to see a little bit more of a pullback, but if it doesn't pull back very hard, that means it's just going to go up even harder. So we should have our target, modify, make sure we have 7 pips and 10 pip stop. Stop should be below this area. So if we get into trade, we have a 10 pip stop, 7 pip target. Swing the bat. And back to our Aussie trade, or New Zealand trade. Okay, it came back up into the wedge. It's giving us another possibility for another entry. Let's see if we can get this one to take. Sell. Take profit. Stop. 2%. And we're going to sell at a 65.60. Sell stop. 60. And it still doesn't do it. Why did it? I don't know what's going on with that. I really don't. I'll have to investigate that one further. Anyway, here's our sell entry right in here. And our target's going to be 7 pips away. And we'll see how this thing opens up at 9 o'clock with the 9 o'clock candle. We just had the 9 o'clock candle just closed. It came up, tagged our moving average. Check out any news. There's no Forex Factory's down today for some reason. I don't know what's going on with that. They must have gotten hacked or something. Wrong one. Here we go. Let's see how our yen trades are doing. Still hasn't been filled yet.
Each Panda says Forex Factory is down, no microphone. Kiwi USD not behaving well. Seems like it's Twilight Zone Tuesday. LOL.
Yeah, it's been really, really slow today. I don't know if there's I don't know what kind of news is going on, which is why it's so slow. Usually the New Zealand pair ranges a lot faster than it is this morning. Tuesdays are oftentimes very good days to trade.
So far, not this Tuesday.
Nope. It's been, well, I see even at the, let's see how our US yen, the yen trades, that's not doing anything yet either.
Maybe the 9:30 hour.
Actually, I did get into the US yen trade earlier. And that one's so, actually that almost hit my target. And it pulled back. We may have to take a break and wait for the market to open up here.
You can do that if you want.
Well, I probably won't leave anyway, so. Well, like I said, it's pretty slow right now. I said we have another 25 minutes before the U.S. market opens up. We could do is there was an alert at 7:45 on the gold. I haven't looked at that one at all.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe take a peek at that, see if that's doing anything. Actually, let's take a look at the S&P. Let's see what the S&P is doing. That's another one that's a possibility to trade. Well, no, let's go to buy the gold here. And see where my XAU. Take this off. Take that off. Wrong chart. Let me get the different feed here. And put it onto the gold.
Look at all those wicks into 15.
Did we get another gold alert?
No.
Well, actually, there not another one. I'm just looking at the one I'm just trying to see if we can draw some wedges to pass the time as we're waiting for things to develop here.
Oh, okay. I saw that one. And as Jackie likes to say, I was rinsed by it.
Yeah, that's right.
So,
Well, I can just look at it right now. I'd see at 7:45. There's no real clear. Let's see. That's 7:45, which is right there. I had an alert. It was a ascending wedge, which means it was looking to go to the upside. So I would have been drawing. So we're ascending. So I'd be looking at this pivot low. Well, we have a nice big range here. Yesterday's high. Here's yesterday's low. It made an overnight lower low on the overnight, but it's basically trading inside this box from up here. If I can grab this. From up here down to this area right here. This is the range it's in. It's in the, when we got the alert, it's right about in the bottom third of the range. And so we had the alert. We can make this yellow. And it was an ascending. So we're going to start down low with our triangle. Start low, come up to, and see it's kind of ranging and it's channeling to this upside here. Had a breakout to the bottom. But I'm not seeing any real clear, strong moves to this. And this is all kind of right in the middle. So I can see where this would be a little bit of an issue. We have an anchor. Here's a hit. Now we had the alert. Let's see if we can extend this out to find some other, we had the hit. Here's the hit. This is the break. And we had a little bit of a descending. This was ascending. So actually, if I wanted to have this triangle going in the up direction, that would be the ascending. The whole angle would be ascending. We have a break here. Now the question is, if when we got the break down here and the retrace back into the wedge, now the question is it going to break again? And this thing could possibly break, but we have to be looking at this line right here. It's going to have to go to be a reference. So I would be looking at this area right here for a cross, just as a reference. This one's a little bit higher there, so it's got a little bit more of an angle. And now we're looking to see if we have this down move, broke, came back up and so from this area to here, we're looking for the retrace back in. Now the question is it going to break in? Here's the high of the RSI right there where the D is. Here's the low of the RSI, which is right in this bottom range where the C, and this one made a lower low from this one. So when this thing breaks, it could keep on going down lower. Take our retracement tool, take it from the high, take it down to the low, retrace it back up to the high, and see how far it got to my 0 line. Expand this, and let's see. Actually, I'm be looking more the other way. Here was a strong, let's do it this way. Take it from this one, up to the D. Bring it down to where this thing pulled back. I'm not seeing it. Need to think about this one a little bit. Not used to trading gold. Right now, it's sort of forming another little wedge in here. We have another little triangle from here to here to here, back up to here. So we have little conflicting triangles here. This is really just range bound right now. I wouldn't trade that. There's no real clear direction on it. Those are US yen trade. Looks like US yen may be doing something here. Hasn't filled yet. But this is one slow moving there now. Hombre today. Yeah, when markets just start moving this slow, you're almost better just to stay out of them.
Al?
Yes.
Beach Panda wrote a question. I've heard on the recent AP Zoom call, also recorded on YT, that BAG has indices, but it's an alert indicator like AIRIS. I thought perhaps it was being incorporated into AIRIS, which is why the indices were being brought up here today.
The indices, to my knowledge, are not being incorporated into AIRIS. But yes, BAGS does trade the indices with gold and the stock market, the S&P. I have been looking at how to incorporate those factors with, not so much with the alert system, but with the trading system, so that when we don't have any alerts for a period of time, that maybe we can take a look at those pairs and just see if there's a trade set up, if there's a wedge forming that we could just draw on our own without having the benefit of the alert system. That's probably one reason why I brought it up today, is because, especially when here's the thing. When things are really slow, there's probably some other pairs around. And this is one nice thing about this RCS tool. If you look at this RCS tool, if I can find it again, here we go. Let me pull it up, the one that I'm looking at here. This one is the correlation right here, this one right here. And I've got this on a 4 hour, 30, 15, and a 5. This is one of the nice things you can do with that tool that we just gave you, Beach Panda, is as this thing comes up, once they propagate, all you do is you just come down here and you just click on the area where the indicator is and just left click twice. And it just, all you do is get the indicator, and just do that on all 3 of these charts, or all 4 of the charts rather, or as many time charts and time frames that you have. So now I've got all of the 8 indicators, our 8 major currency pairs are all in one. And if I look at the 4 hour and see the euro is strong, I'll see that the euro is strong here. I see the euro is strong here, euro is strong here. I would be looking to see if the euro is strong on at least 2 or 3 of the charts, and we've got for instance, like the New Zealand is the weakest one on these 3 charts. We can take a look at the Euro-New Zealand pair, say, okay, the Euro-New Zealand pair is showing us something as a possibility to trade it. And so I'll come over here to our tool here with let's just find it. I'm just going to duplicate this one and load the Euro-New Zealand. Let's see, where is it? It may not even have it here. I got it loaded up here. So I go to the EUR-NZD with Awanda, and I'm going to add it to my chart. And I'll pull the pair up. And I'm going to see, so we knew that the euro was strong to New Zealand. So what we can do is look for a wedge to form on this and see if we can find a trade. This is when we don't have any other trades to be looking at. And so you'd want to be trading this to the strength of the euro. So you'd be looking for a pullback. 15 years 5, put this on the 5 minute. 15.51. So I'm looking on the 15-minute chart at this pair. I'd be looking to trade this to the strength of the euro. And we see that the euro is still strong. And you can see it's been it has a pretty strong move up. So we know that there's we're looking to see if we can find a little wedge develop up in this area. And you'd find that one way you'd find it is by using your retracement tool. Start here at the bottom, come up here to the top, and just look for a pullback of some sort, of some nature, to maybe about in this area, this level. And you're just looking to find so you look and see where the first pullback, here's a nice red candle. So you look for that, mark the box on that, and wait and see if you can find a zone enough to be able to trade it. So here's a little box. Here's that little pullback. Let's put this on a 5-minute chart or a 1-minute chart and see what we have here. So here you have the box. Move this thing over. Here's our range. Is the range enough to be able to trade? And we look over here, measure it, see if it is. Here's 25 pips. That's enough to range. So what you want to do is you can see it's ranging inside this box. So you just want to try and find the top third and bottom third and see if you can find a RSI. Right now the RSIs are at the top. It's up near the top. And we just had a strong move down, strong pullback. And it could very well just end up trading. And you have to decide if it's something that would fit your criteria to be able to catch this middle third. Is there enough room in the third? I think it probably is. If you take your tool, measure the distance here, it got 8 pips. So if you can find a reason to get into the trade with a pullback, you might have a trade there. And that's one thing that when we don't get the alerts, that's something you can maybe do, go out hunting for some of your own trades. All the alerts are saying is, hey, this pair fits the criteria and we're paying attention to it. Go and take a look and see if you can do anything with it. And that's where these AIRIS alerts are. Well, this is another way to take a look and say, okay, well, we know that the euro is strong. We know that New Zealand's weak so we're looking for a pullback for the euro to give us the opportunity to maybe get some pips. Here was going strong, it pulled back, and if we got into this pullback here, now it's kind of late now, but if we had this we had this drop, came back up, and if it pulled back anywhere, if it came up, here was the high, came back, it could possibly have gotten in to go to this upside. And right now it's pretty much ranging to where your middle third of this whole box is going to be right here in this area. You can see where, and so this is it's range bound, but you really don't have the direction right now. So there's really right now it's already at the extent of where the box was with the euro strength. So you may be looking for maybe the flip of a retracement to get you in maybe short to maybe catch a short move out for this. You don't want to take it long right now because you're up near the top of the move, but you may be able to reverse this position and maybe catch a pullback enough to be able to get into the trade.
Beach Panda says, Al, that's cool. This is now a session I'll have to save to my computer to review on using RCS tools for opportunities.
Yeah, this is another opportunity. This is another way of getting an opportunity. You still want right now you're looking for a pullback. So if this price were to pull back, I usually like to see at least a 30% pullback. If you have a 30% pullback of now it hasn't broken out of here, but if it breaks out of the top, and then you can get a 30% pullback back into this area. Let me just take this off. Back into this area, and it comes, then you may be able to, and forms a wedge. So like right now you can see there's a little bit of a wedge forming right here. It's only a 1 minute chart, so there's not much movement, but you have a little wedge right in here. Well, if this thing pulls back a little bit deeper and breaks the top of the wedge, you might have a trade. I'd like to see it break the top of this area right here. So I'd really like to see it come on up a little bit higher, then pull back into, give me a wedge, and then break out of the wedge to go back to the upside.
Sorry.
So these are just some things that you can do to try to, what you're doing is you're trying to look for a picture, and as the markets change, you try and see, okay, if the markets change, maybe the pictures change. Maybe there's another way of seeing these pictures, or to create a picture that makes sense to be able to catch some pips. But this is a pretty handy little tool right here. And all it is just a Fibonacci values, 61.8, 50%. I've got a 40 in there where I have a 40% and a 38.2, which is the double line, and then the 23.6. Those are the main Fibonacci numbers. And all you're doing is trying to find zones of big moves to where it comes back into those zones to be able to take a trade.
Also, Beach Panda said, could maybe draw a channel or use a pitchfork like Matt does.
And that's another way. One thing about pitchforks, wedges, all they are trend lines. And you're just trying to find bounces. And usually the third hit on a trend line, you have the anchor. We always talk about the anchor, the hit, and then the third hit. The third hit is usually the deciding factor whether the trend's going to get broken or whether it's going to hold. And in this particular case, right now, there really is not a wedge, so to speak, but there is a box or an area where this thing's been trading. You can see you had a nice move up, nice move down. You can see it's staying inside this range. And now the question is that once it breaks out of the range, then you can maybe have a trade to be able to start. Once it breaks out of, remember I said the prices they go up, they go down, and they go sideways. Well, what's inside the box is going sideways, but in that sideways box is going up and down. Once it breaks out of this sideways range, then it's more likely to start trending. And you can see where, if you pull this box over, you can see where it trended on up and then it stalled into the box. Well, this would be a rally, it's basing, and there's a good chance it's going to rally back up some more on a higher time frame to give us that move. And that's all you're doing. You're just looking for strong moves up, a basing, and you're looking for the next breakout. Until that breakout happens, you really don't have a trade. But you use key times of the day, like we use the day breaks to determine what day what's the price action of that day. We look at it all the time on these other pairs where the daybreak is, and you say, okay, on a 15-minute chart, what happened yesterday? So I look at yesterday's action and say, well, here was the high yesterday, here was the low yesterday. This was the range, yesterday's range that this thing traded yesterday from here to here. That was yesterday's range. And so this was below yesterday's high. Well, it opened up with a nice big move on up, but now it's basing. It actually based here a little bit overnight. It based again overnight, and then has another strong move up. This could be a top of a move, or it could be the reversal back down to retest. And that's where you start looking for these breakouts, the ranges, and see where you can find your. And all you're trying to do is just grab a few pips out of those areas. How's our trade doing? Still nothing. Still nothing.
Take a break, Al? Going on
Well,
till
the market's going to open up in 5 more minutes. So there's, I mean, if anybody wants to take a break for 5 minutes, or anybody can take a break anytime they want to. I would say nothing's going to happen for another 5 minutes. So now's a good time to take a break if you want to grab another cup of coffee or something. In fact, let's take a 5-minute break. I'm gonna go and grab some tea, and I'll be back. I'll just leave my chart open, and we'll see what let's take this one off since we made our point with that. Here's our New Zealand trade. Still nothing here. It's still range bound. Actually, it did come in. It did come in and get us into it, and we'll see if it can hit our target here. Right now, it's really not doing anything at all. It's just really range bound by a very, very tight range. So only 12 pips over the last 3 hours. That's ridiculous. And that's on a 5-minute chart. And now we mute my mic, and I'll be back in a few minutes.
Okay.
Okay, we're back. Is everybody rehydrated and ready for the session at 9:30 here? See how it goes.
Yep.
And so I haven't seen it this slow on a Tuesday for a long time.
Yeah, it certainly is sluggish.
It is, and there's no alerts. There's just no movement in the market for some reason. Maybe it's because Forex Factory's down. Nobody wants to trade without the news.
Oh, is it down today?
Well, it's Forex Factory's not. It's their website's down for some reason.
Oh. Possible, I guess.
Maybe they got hacked. There seems to be a lot of that going on right now.
Yeah, true enough.
This is the range we're playing in right now. Looks like the market's about ready to open up, and we're going to see how the S&P's doing. Looks like it's going to open up to the short side. Let's see if we can find an SPX on this. Since we haven't got anything else to be looking at, the New Zealand's not moving enough to trade. The US yen, let's see what that's doing anything here. That's starting to show a little bit of life. Let's redraw this one.
Beach Panda kills me. He says he took the time to start lunch. Food of ex-champions pizza.
There you go.
He's been up since the 3 a.m. London session, so he's kind of hungry.
Okay. This US yen is actually showing some signs of life here. We have a nice little break of the trend line. We had with this higher time frame trend line. See if we can see where we're at here. Here's a nice little trend that we kind of started with this move here. Here's the high, here's the low, here's the lower high, higher low, higher high, higher low. So right here is where this trend is starting to where it broke, and you can see where I have my anchor, here's my hit, and here is the break of the third hit up, but it's coming right up into this supply zone right up in here. So we have to pay attention to that and be aware of that. But on the downside, on the bottom part, we have an anchor, nice hit here. Here's our third hit, which does support this bottom trend line. What I'd like to see what's happened with this is to have it come back into the wedge, retest this area for a pullback, and then see if it comes back and retests the breakout. Or the other option would be is that you have the breakout, come back in, retest the wedge, and go up higher. And that's really where we are right now with that one. And the S&P opened up down and just spiked right back up again. That's an interesting scenario. And we're going to still keep on watching it and see what happens with that one. So let's take a look at this one. This is on the 3-hour chart. So let's get back on a 15-minute chart on this US yen. We had the break, nice strong move up. The kind of range we have on this from here to here. We have 20 pips. So we're looking at again, we're just trying to get 7 pips out of this thing. See where our Fib tools are. And put our Fibonacci's on, and we have a green zone up here. We have the red zone. So right now, again, we're right smack dab in the middle between our blue, which is the blue-red zone, or excuse me, where is it?
Green red.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what I'm going to say here. Here's really the area that would be looking for this would be the upper supply zone. The blue-red. We're right here we're in, actually right now we have the blue zone right here. So here's actually we're right in it's coming up into a overshoot of a blue zone. It's coming up from down below. So it's really coming into the blue zone, which is right here with the overshoot of the green. So they came right up, there's a pretty strong overshoot on this. Let me just take all these off here. So we have the, let's see if I can draw it out here where it may be a little bit clearer to you. Here's our, this is the red zone, this is the red blue zone as it's coming up into the blue zone. But now it's in the blue zone, now it's basically in the overshoot area, coming up from the bottom. If it can base in here and break, then it's going to start heading on up to this area. But right now it's kind of in this middle, it is already extended up, and we're also now looking to see if it's going to retrace back in again. So it is in the up move, but here's the retrace. So we might have a possibility to catch a little retrace of it coming from here, came all the way up here. It's retesting the bottom of our blue zone, which is right here. So if this thing can come up and tag this, it could go up higher. I guess that's the point. And we're going to see what happens. I'd like to see a little bit more of a pullback. But this is still an okay pullback. You got a nice pullback. You still have the RSIs are coming down. If the RSIs, this was staying up, the 8's staying up near the top. This one's pulling back. This is a nice little pullback. If it can come up and get us into a trade for a buy right up in this area, you could use that for a buy stop. And this would be the target area up here. Now the question is if you can get 7 pips up to this area. If it breaks out, it's going to have to break out significantly to be able to get your 7 pips. If it just tags, if it could get you in just to get you into the right where the pullback was. But if it can break, then you could be off to a nice little trade to the upside. So what I'm looking at is I'm looking for this pullback. Have my stop down below here, below. Somewhere below this zone. And then my target's going to be up top here. If you can get the break of this little wedge right here. It's a nice strong move. Formed a little wedge up here. If it can break, if it breaks the wedge, it's going to be breaking right into this. That would be the breakout, target, and extreme target. But you only have a few pips range on. You have about 4 pips from here to here, then you would need a few more pips they would have to break this into this area for your target. That would probably be, there's your 7 pips. So basically this area right here. And we'll see what happens. We'll see if this Wanda will take the trade here. And we'll see. We'll see how the U.S. market opens up. Right now, the U.S. is strong to the yen on the 15-minute. U.S. is strong. We're looking at strength to the upside. And we'll see if it can break up into there. See if we can get some. I like the fact that we have the hook here. This one stayed up. It pulled back. It hooked. Now we're just waiting to see if it can get us in to drive it up further. If it doesn't have, if this strength weakens, it shouldn't get us into the trade. If it does, it'll get us right in just right at the wrong time, and then we're going to be pulled back. But right now, everything's still moving with some momentum to the upside. Any questions? Anybody have any questions in here?
No, thank you at the present time.
No? Okay.
Should we check the NZD just for?
We can check the NCD
Just
and
for
see how
giggles?
that's doing. It's still going. It's still ranging sideways. It's still really no trade here at all right now. I don't like anything that's going on about it. It's way too wicky. It's just moving sideways. If we didn't get the breakout, like I mean, it tried to break it out. It didn't quite make it, and just right now it's just range bound.
Oh well.
It looks like the dollar is getting weaker. This one's still range bound. That's the NZD. US yen was the one we were looking at. This one just may not do anything here. I'll tell you, for a Tuesday, this thing is really slow. 9 pips in the last hour. Some of those, these are just the types of days you just don't want to trade. Let's see how it looks on our 15-minute chart, see if there's any stories to be told here. Let's go to a higher time frame. Let's look at a 1 minute or 1 hour chart. And we can see that we have right this here, we're at pretty much right at a green fib line, which is right here where this little wick was. I think this is probably where it's sort of stalling out from this nice little move that's had over the last several days. Had 3 days of a down move, 1, 2, 3. This is the 4th day of the up move, and it's retesting this little zone right up in here. And we just take all this other stuff off. You can just see where it came right up into that area, and it's basing right in here. So this thing's probably a good chance this thing's going to turn around if it can't get through this. This is a pretty high time frame. This is a 1 hour zone. This is where all the wicks were, right over in here. If it can break through that, the next zone is going to be up in this area.
Right past the.
Be right in there. This would be the next zone.
Mm-hmm. And then you have the red fib right above it.
And then you have the red fib right above it, is right. So this would be an area, this would be the next area that I would be looking at. If we can break through this, it'd be like a level on the level area. So we're going to take this one up, make it, put at the top of the red candle and the top of the next wick. You'll see that our fib zone is right in the middle of that. And so that's, I mean, but it's going to have to get through this one first. And you can see it's bouncing, it's getting some resistance because that's the high from about, well, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days ago. This is the 7th day. So a week, it's been a week. This has been a week, pretty much a 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the 4th day of this move from the low. And this would be where your trend line would be. I'm just going to take these off. And here's your bottom trend lines. This is a significant trend. From here, here's your hit. Here's your third hit right there. There's your third hit. Actually had almost a 4th hit. This is the solid trend line right here. So you want to start seeing a pullback coming down from that. Here's the next little flag area. Here's our high. This one broke. This got broken. This is going to be the new trend area. You have this one to here, and you also have this one trending on up that got broken. So this is almost like a little trap area. You have anchor hit, and there's a break, but it broke right up into this. This was a trap. Let me see if I can show that a little bit better. Here's the anchor. Here's the hit. There's the third hit. And it trapped right up into here. And this was a trap right in that area right in there was your trap. It broke the one trend, but it couldn't break into this one. So now what I'm doing is I'm actually going to be looking for a reversal pattern. I want to see it come down, pull back, and then retest this one. So you should get a 3-wave, an A, B, C wave coming down. Any questions about that?
Not about that, but Beach Panda has another question.
Okay.
Equipment question.
All right.
I know that FX scalping does not move as fast as New York Stock Exchange or OTC scalping markets. So a regular connection to the net suffices for work. How about satellite? I'm planning on moving on board a Lagoon 52 and sailing the Caribbean. Wi-Fi works near shore, but crossings between islands and countries or across the Gulf of Mexico has no Wi-Fi. Any knowledge or insight as to what bandwidth is needed to continue trading during those passages?
No knowledge at all. And that's all I can say about that. I do not know. I'm not a techie to know those questions. I would say that probably a good question to ask your internet provider to find out how that works, especially if you're looking at satellite. I would talk with any of the satellite providers and ask them that question. They should be able to give you a reasonable answer. I'm sure I know there's like a lot of people that are RVers that are using laptops and things like that to trade while they're on the road. But there they have access to some of the local towers that just through a hotspot or something like that. But crossing the ocean, the only knowledge I have about things like that is with GPS tracking and things like that, which are coming off the satellites. So I would say it's probably pretty reliable. The question is, I mean, you should have a good signal in the ocean off of satellites. I just don't know how fast it is. I would think it would be fast enough. It might be kind of expensive, but it should work okay. It's certainly a lot better than the old HF frequency. You can see this thing starting to pull down. It's a good thing we just got rid of that that trade there. See what it looks like on a 30-minute chart. See a lot of basing right in here. See, this is on 30 minutes, 7:30 in the morning is where we had this alert on the yen. I believe it was 7:30, 7 o'clock this morning. We had the alert, was the last alert we had. So that was the 7 o'clock. And we'll see if this thing can pull back and see where the strength is. I'd be looking at this being a pullback only to go to the upside on this. It's a nice little pullback in here. I don't know, give us the range to be able to make it worth our while taking it off the off this. Let's see here. If we have a, this would be the pullback. So we'll be looking at a range from here to here. Actually, take that back here. This is the strong move up, pull back, looking for another strong move. So see if it can pull back beyond this point, or how much of this range it will pull back to. We still have these moving averages. We have a secondary wedge coming trend going from here. Here's a low, here's a high, here's a higher low, there's a higher high. So we have another trend line coming in from this area on a smaller time frame. Let's see. Let's just try that here. And we have a pullback, and see if it pulls back to this line and see if it gets us in to get us in on a long, but we have to see if this is going to support that. Right now we have the dollar strength. We have the dollar strength still, not by a whole lot. Now if this is a pullback, it could get us in to go up to, and it did break this, but still, like I said, it still has to get through this one. So I need to have at least 7 pips to where this top of it was to be able to make that worthwhile. Right now you've got a 13 pip pullback. That's not too bad. So if we're looking in this area, here's our low, here's our high, here's our pullback. Right now it's pulled back. Right now it's pulled back about 50% of the up move, which is not too bad. And we'll see if it can snap back up to make a higher high to break up into this area. I'd like to see it pull back and retest this. Here's our anchor. Here's our first hit. I'd like to see it come back and retest this area right in here.
Beach Panda just says, SAT dealers are all just want to sell you everything they have, but maybe overkill. I have shortwave, so I can always hook up to that. I am ham licensed for the internet, but it is a slower connection than watching paint dry.
Well, it sounds exciting to sail the Caribbean.
Yeah, right?
Well, the S&P opened and it's just going sideways. It opened up low, it went up high, and now it's just going sideways. So there's no real clear direction on the. There's no clear direction on the dollar right now. The dollar can start pulling up some dollar strength. Let's see what see where the dollar is here. We see the dollar is right sort of in the middle of the 4-hour chart. It's pretty much in the middle 3 of the 30-minute. A little bit weak on the 5 and real weak on the 50-minute and real weak on the 5. So the dollar is not showing any real strong direction, and that's one reason why things are being so slow today. Some days are just like that. I think the yen is pretty much our best bet. If we can come down where it can tag this, I'd like to see it come all the way down into this area right in here. If it can come down, bounce off of that, and get us in right about in this area on the bounce, then we have a nice little move to the upside. This is pulling back. If we can get the hook, and we're on a 30-minute chart, let's see what it looks like on a 15. Same thing as pulling down. So it's having a nice little pullback. It's coming down. If we can get a hook somewhere or a bounce off of this area, then we might have a nice little trade. Here's our 15-minute 62 coming right up into right where this trend is.
Beach Panda's asking, Al, why don't we enter the pullback for the UJ?
Well, I'm looking at to do just that, actually. That's what we're looking at. But I want to see it come back to this trend line. This is the trend line. Like I said, we have an anchor, we have a hit. We don't have our third hit yet. Our third hit is about to happen. If this can come down, get a hit, it's gonna. If it bounces, we want to be in it long. If it breaks through, then we will look to try and get into it short. So right now, this is the area that we're looking on this one, right where this red box is. We're looking at this area, see what happens in this red area between this yellow line and the red box. I like seeing a nice strong candle down into this zone. A lot of times we get a nice strong move into the zone, it bases a little bit, and then either comes back up or then it breaks out the bottom. If this thing comes down and the orange one stays down and the blue one comes back up and hooks, that would be wanting to go short. If they both hook and start going to the upside, you want to see, then you want to try and get in a long area. We had the break, came up, gave us a little head fake, and then this thing could go. But then the fact is coming right up into this 1 hour supply zone, we may be looking at this thing being the reversal of that move. So it breaks up. Here was the head fake, and then it could come down and get us in to go short. This could be the other end of this thing. And if it could break this one, here's the next trend line that we're looking at. And there's a nice little move on to that part. So from this green trend line down to here, you got your 14 pips, you can get your 7 pips before it hits the 30 moving average. But really right now, there's no real clear direction on which way this thing's going to go. It's still somewhat range bound. Range bound favoring to the upside. Here's an anchor, here's a hit, this could be qualified as a third hit. Had a little bit of a wick here, so anchor, hit, third hit, and it held. So right now it's trading inside. Here's your range that you're looking at right in here. And if you look at the range of that from here, it's We measure this range here. It's 26 pips. Right now it's in the middle of the range. Let's see what happens when it bounces down the bottom here. Here's a red fib line right here where my box is. There's a red fib line. And I would kind of expect that you might get a bounce off of this area. And the yen is strong, not by much. Right now, the yen and the U.S. are fighting for last place. Come over to my 5-minute chart, same story. 1-minute chart. Where's my other chart up here?
Rajiv says USD is weak on NZD USD.
USD and NZD USD, that probably would be right. Yes, that is true. Let's see, here is our alert. Broke out the bottom. Right now it's still testing the top side of the wedge. It went when price went back into the wedge.
Wow, this is really, really slow, isn't it? Today?
I've not seen a Tuesday this slow in a long time.
I know Tuesday usually tends to pick up a bit.
Rajiv says, Al, can you please show how to see RCS on multiple time frames on one screen? Sorry about not spitting that out properly.
On multiple time frames on one screen. Oh, on one platform, like I did over here, like this one.
Right. We have yes. I
Yeah,
believe.
basically what you do is if you with TradingView, if you click on the chart, or if you have your chart, if you just click on the chart, just left click twice, you just have just a chart. It gets rid of all those indicator boxes down below. Left click again, it brings them back. But now you bring it down and click on the indicator box right here, the RCS box. Just left click on that twice, and that brings up just the indicators. Did that answer the question?
No answer yet.
Okay, he's probably trying.
Yeah. Yes,
okay,
sir.
Good. Okay. I think this thing looks like the dollar is. I think the dollar is weak.
Yeah, if that's going
and
up.
Which means it should be going. Yeah, the New Zealand should be getting some strength here. And we'll just see if it can break out the top. If it breaks out the top of this, we might have a little trade. Let's see where our moving average is. Here's our 15. So it broke through the 15 on the 5-minute chart. It broke the wedge, came back. Didn't really give us too much of a move from here to here. That was 10 pips. It would have, if you would have been able to catch it right on the alert, you would have been okay. Actually, there was a little bit of a pullback, but it didn't get enough to make any huge amount of money. Back into the wedge, and now we're seeing with the dollar weakness, the New Zealand strength. We got a nice split here. If it breaks to the top of here, you may have a trade. But you also know that you have your 1562, which is going to be, that's moved down a little bit probably. So it's going to be right here. So if it breaks to the top side, we have a blue fib line, green fib line. It could come up and retest the green fib line. If it breaks, you got a green fib line right up here. It's going to be a low probability trade for a high profit, I'd say right now. Because once you break, you're going to have this area right in here. I look at this more of a trap right in here. I don't know that you get enough pips to get up there to make it worthwhile too. You'd be looking at about 5 pips before you run into the 62. Still have dollar weakness.
Well, we've got about 3 minutes left now in this session.
Okay, well, that's a good thing. This has been painful. That's a good thing. Well, I say I'm sorry it wasn't busier today, but we were able to answer some questions and maybe get some things. Start looking at things a little bit differently, trying to find out some of these when a market doesn't give you the trades, it just doesn't give you the trades. Keep your losses short and let your profits run. Hopefully, it'll be a better day tomorrow. Thanks for coming, and everybody have a good day.
And
See you
each
tomorrow.
panda says sometimes no trades are good trades, which
Some
is
days,
good.
some trades are no trades. That's exactly right. But it didn't give. We were controlling our entries a little bit. It didn't give us the entries, and that was okay. It just wasn't giving us the volatility. If we had the entries, it would have been a better day. But there was a couple that were kind of got us in there, but we got out with a reasonable, either a very, very small profit or a reasonable loss, and that still makes for a good day of trading. So again, thanks for coming, and we will see everybody tomorrow.
See y'all tomorrow.
Everybody.